Oh, well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't mean to hit the go button there. My mouse was just on it, and I said to myself, I'm not going to start the video yet. I'm going to paint this little picture here first. So I've got a picture I'm painting. Well, here's the thing. I have a bunch... Here's the thing. I have a bunch of pedantic sort of stories that I fancy would help people who wanted to educate their own children. And I knew I would use my drinking water if I set it over there. I knew I would use it for paint water. Excuse me. Well, I'm not really prepared to do this video, am I? I've really rushed into it here because I bumped the mouse, but here we are. So, I've got this story that a gentleman wanted to invent a board game because he was bored. So the motive of the story is that he's bored, fine. He wants to invent a board game, and he comes up with chess. Now the king likes this game so much, and he plays it so much, that he decides to offer the man, he says, if you'll let me pay you for this, I'll thank you, and you know, I love this game, and the kingdom is so grateful, please let me pay you. And the guy said, no, keep your gold. I'm a poor man, I need grain for my cows. And the king said, okay, I can give you grain. How much grain do you need for your cows? Like I'm so grateful. This game of chess is so wonderful. How much grain do you need? I promise you can have all the grain you need for your cows. What do you need? And the guy said, well, oh no. I'll tell you what. Let's gauge it on the game, because the game has 8 by 8 boards, so that's 64 squares. He says, just give me one little piece of grain today, and then double it every day. I'll come back tomorrow for 2, and then I'll come back for 4. And the king says, oh no, that's far too minor. And he says, no, your lord, I promise. I promise I'll come get the grain. I promise that it will be sufficient. I promise. So the king finally gets talked into it. He says, all right, well, if that's how you want it, then you'll get 1 piece of grain today. Well, a week later, the king checked up on the situation, and there were several handfuls of grain, a pretty good little satchel full of grain going to the inventor of the game. And the king didn't worry about that. Now, a week later, he saw 2 mules leaving the kingdom, going out to the houses, and he said, now what's this all about? And they said, oh, that's the grain that you promised the gentleman who made the game of chess. And the king looked a little concerned. He said, oh, yes, I did promise him as much grain as he needed, didn't I? So he didn't worry too much about it. And the next week, they came to the king, and they said, sire, all of the grain is gone, and we are only on day number 16 of what we are meant to pay for the chess game you have promised to pay for. And at this point, the king discovered the power of exponential numbers, and that he should have been paying closer attention. Where he thought a couple of mules wasn't too bad on day 7, after 7 more doublings, it was all the grain in the kingdom. Now, while we've been discussing that, this is the first page of that. This is the old man's house. He was sitting there at his house. And then here's the board with 1 piece of grain here and 2, and it goes on up, and up here there's numbers. You see, there's numbers written there because I had my daughter do that math. She was shocked and amazed. at how quickly the number grew. There are a couple of the cows, because he wanted grain to feed his cows. It's doodles, but there's some fun doodling that I was doing just with trying to imagine what, I don't know why I was doodling. Oh, this is a page that's going to show him going. There's a board game going on. There's a house up there. Now this is like it's going to be like a 10-page book. There's just his front yard. That's like a garden gate to his front yard. And then this is what I was painting on while we were busy there. And that's just a scene that'll have the castle or the city in the background or something. Now that's a pretty short story. It involves some basic mathematics. You can sit with your son or your daughter who's fairly young, 8, 7, something like this can do it, or 6 even. It's pretty young, but if they can do addition very well, then they can do this. And it blows their mind to see how quickly numbers double. This is a nice little story. Now what I think I'll do is I'll finish all these and bind it together and make a nice little storybook thingy, and I'll celebrate when I reach $100 or something on Patreon. In fact, thought occurs to me, should I assemble these little things and offer my paintings or something as thank yous? If any of you are interested in some sort of painting or something, maybe I should put some up. Make a comment or something and say, I'm a contributor and I would love to have one of your little paintings. I mean, I have a box full of it. I have a box with more than 100 little watercolors that never see the light of day. Maybe I should send some to appreciating fans or something. That's a possibility. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a fun little bedtime story, huh?